And now, the best 60-ish seconds of your week. Well, Christmas has finally passed us, and it is the Feast of the Epiphany today. And so I'm looking for a few wise men, and somehow it's tough to find them. But I look to the typical source of wisdom in this country, Washington, D.C., the city where sound travels faster than light. And who else but Mayorkas. Now, this guy you've heard me talk about a lot. The stuff that comes out of his mouth is unimaginable. And this week, he gave us the real reason for the border crisis. Now, he, of course, doesn't say there is a crisis. According to him, the border is secure, but according to everybody else in the world, not so much. And he explains what the problem is there. And the fundamental root cause is climate change. I mean, who didn't know that? It's just, you can't make this stuff up. I guess that down in my native land and places south of the border, it's simply too hot. They got to come up here this time of year to cool down. And over the holidays, as we were celebrating the new year with the popping of corks, what did these same folks tell us? The climate change nuts, and I want to refer to them that way, that in just a few years, 25 or so, there will be no more champagne. Talk about killjoys. Climate change is going to take away all the grapes that are necessary for champagne and for a lot of other culinary delights, shall we say, adult beverages, etc. So they warned us, once again, to be very, very careful because there will be no more champagne. And again, in the Northeast United States, Claudine Gay is forced out as president of Harvard University. Frankly, it took too long for that to happen. Occurred a little bit earlier at the University of Pennsylvania, and we're still waiting on M.I.T. after the incredibly disastrous testimony those three presidents gave before Congress a little bit ago, telling us basically that their policies didn't invoke clauses that would not allow for people to call for the abolition of Israel and the killing of Jews. Think about that. So Claudine Gay had a few other problems, most notably plagiarism, which predated any of the problems that she had at the congressional hearing. She stepped down, incidentally keeping her nearly $1 million a year professorship. Think about that too for a minute. When the average American's struggling to make ends meet, you go to Harvard and get a professorship, not exactly a lot of heavy lifting, and pull down roughly $1 million a year. But she blames it all on racism. Now, when you consider the DEI stuff that brought her there in the first place, you've got to ask, where is the true racism here? I mean, the chutzpah of these people is just unbelievable. And the same old song gets sung over and over and over again. I think all of us have had enough. And of course, Claudine Gay's plagiarism problems went so far that she was accused of plagiarizing more times than Joe Biden. Think about that. Joe Biden, of course, plagiarized not only academically, but politically, where 36 years ago, he borrowed a few lines from Neil Kinnock in Great Britain, got caught for it, and was forced out of the 1988 presidential Democratic primaries. And with that, the disastrous interview with Sam Donaldson, where he talked about being this star student and all this nonsense, where in point of fact, he went to a B-level law school and finished at the near bottom of his class, despite his claims to the contrary. And it goes on and on and on, but we all know what Joe Biden is about. And now we roll into the heart of the 2024 campaign. Less than 10 days now until the Iowa caucuses. And President Trump continues to hold a commanding lead there. And the real question is, who's going to finish second? It has been Ron DeSantis's up until now, but Nikki Haley is surging in Iowa and has done very well in these town hall meetings, which have been televised. If she gets really close to DeSantis, it probably, and again I underline probably, means the end of DeSantis' candidacy, because she will do at least if the polls are correct, very well in New Hampshire. And if she's got that momentum coming out of Iowa, it will only boost her in that little window of time between the Iowa caucuses and the first in the nation primary. Lots going on in 2024, most notably here in my home state, the Farm Show, the week I love the most during the year, even though I'm not a cold weather man. Grew up in Philadelphia, I'd never even heard of the Farm Show until I came to central Pennsylvania, heard all these people talking about the Farm Show, and now I am a unrepentant Farm Show groupie. For those of you here in the Keystone State, make sure you get out to the Farm Show this week. You won't be sorry, because for now, that is the best 60-ish seconds of your week.